My two favorite customers are an 80+ YO couple who come in once a week. They always wave and say hello when they enter the store. She has some difficulty walking, so she leans on her shopping cart with her list in her hand and off she goes. He usually wanders around the store waiting for her to finish. He always comes up to tell me that he's lost, but she doesn't realize it yet. One day, he asked me about Old Spice body wash, shampoo and conditioner. I showed him where it was, he gathered it up what he wanted and put it in her cart. They usually wait for me to check them out if they're not in a hurry. So as I'm checking them out and scanning 5 various Old Spice products, I look at the husband and say, obviously, someone really likes Old Spice. The wife immediately responded and said, oh, yes. I think he's really hot when he wears Old Spice. I was flabbergasted at first, then I couldn't stop laughing, along with his wife. The blushing husband just said, I'm going to let you two ladies enjoy this moment together while I just wait in the car. His wife gave me a big hug and a kiss on my cheek before she rolled her cart out to the car. Gosh. All I could think was, how wonderful to still be so much in love at their age. The other day, this customer really tried to argue with me about the price of Philadelphia cream cheese. I was standing at self-checkout minding my own business and doing my job, and this woman turned around and claimed that she saw the cream cheese was supposed to be $2.99 but scanned $3.99. I went to check like I usually do when customers claim they saw a different price. Every sign and label there said that the Philadelphia cream cheese was indeed $3.99. There was a label that was $1.99 but it was a different brand that we didn't have at the moment. So I went to tell her that and she was so persistent on being correct. This happened about 5 minutes ago. Where I work we do battery replacements on watches and all things retail we give receipts out. A woman has just handed me a watch that stopped and that we apparently put a battery a few weeks ago. Everyone who works retail knows this could be anything from 2 weeks to 6 months ago. I tell her no problem, I'll check it out and ask if she has a receipt. She looked at me like I had two heads and was very confused about why I wanted that. There are approx 12 other places in town that do batteries and we fit about 30-50 a day. With the best will in the world I can't remember them all, assuming it was me and not another member of staff. I had to explain that yes, she would have had a receipt as we give one out whenever we take payment for anything. She was still confused when she left. I'm sensing there will be an argument when I have to charge her when she returns. So, happened a while ago, so sorry for the really vague memories I'm putting down from when I was working in a local loan shop for selling and buying all your games, comics, DVDs, all that stuff. When we get a trade-in we have to take some details from their ID for legal reasons, in case the item has been stolen or whatever else may be an issue. Mainly an address, name, and date of birth. Someone walks in around midday, puts a Hello Kitty DS game on the counter to sell for cash. The price we offered him really seemed to piss him off, saying he paid a lot more for it. Goes on arguing with the boss for about 5 minutes and gives up. When we ask for ID he hands us a parole prison card. Red flag right there. Regardless, the card can't be used for trading in. No address or date of birth. Arguing starts again. The only line I remember is, how am I meant to give you an address when I live in prison? He took the game back and stormed off seething. Never saw him again. Looking back at it now, I'm pretty sure it was stolen from one of the market stalls in the nearby market, which aren't usually kept an eye on by the owners. Still astounds me that he thought we would look at that card and go, yup, all good here. Edit. Thinking more to back then, I've got some more stories to share from that store. I'll post some more interesting ones when they come back to me. I worked for a certain nationwide electronics retailer circa 2007 or 08. It was my first Black Friday and we had some of the first commercially available reasonably priced GPS systems. It was crazy. And the stupid GPS system sold out in maybe 20 minutes. I had stashed the one I would be buying safely in the back BTW. It was a Magellan 3100, I think. The store was nothing but a sea of heads. Anyway. About an hour into it, some middle-aged lady in line asks me about the GPS systems. When I inform her that we are sold out, I got an earful. She accused me of false advertising. I don't remember exact wording, but she was trying to hold me personally responsible for false advertising, which is obviously BS, but it was as though she thought I was personally organizing an ad campaign for the entire company. I know it's not a long story, but to this day I want to find that lunatic and return the earful. This is probably the craziest thing I've ever had to deal with in 15 years at my job. So about 5 or so years ago, semi-late in the evening, my grocery store had the pharmacy alarm go off. It's a huge racket. The only thing I've heard louder is when jets fly over the stands during car shows. When I head downstairs to the pharmacy, I see a dude frantically moving about in the pharmacy, wearing a lab coat like they pharmacists do. We sometimes get transfers and so I don't always recognize everyone, but this guy had some tattoos on his arms, which is a tad unusual with pharmacists. His face wasn't crazy off, but hidden by a beard, and I didn't get a good look. And I was wondering if he was there trying to get the alarm to go off. I asked the manager on duty if it was the pharmacist, but I don't think he heard me over the racket. About a minute later, he phones me, raving about there's some guy here without any clothes on. And I see him haul the guy, still in the coat but barefoot and with bare legs, thankfully the coat is long, into the security room, which also holds our electrical wiring. He tosses the guy in there and waits for the police. Very shortly, our tills stop accepting debit and credit transactions. It's cash only. This is a really big problem. And even worse, we can't use the paging system to warn customers, because that's also down, and it's fairly busy. We can't dial out on the phones, either. Turns out the guy was randomly ripping wires out of the walls in a drug-fueled frenzy, and that's why all our stuff went down. So as you can imagine, customers are really upset when they get to the tills. Entire cartloads have to be left behind because they can't pay cash. I don't remember if the cash machine was working or not. Our manager's busy with the guy and we can't run around the store telling people to quit shopping. The rest of the night was a mess, tons of groceries to go back, upset customers, etc. Finally we figure out what happened. When they check the cameras the next day, the guy had come into the store, gotten into the unlocked bathrooms, taken all his clothes off, then just moved from bathroom to bathroom with nobody noticing because we were busy. For hours. He'd gotten into the janitor's closet and wiped the jackets in there over his body for some reason, so I think we tossed those out. One customer had seen him, but she's on camera just laughing about it and not telling anyone. And then he ran to the pharmacy, broke in to find stuff and put on the lab coat. He was arrested and charged, but came in the next day, yes, a catch and release, to apologize to the boss and say I don't know what I was on that day. Very shortly thereafter, after an incident where 2 homeless guys stood in one bathroom in the dark for ages, then a third guy ran in, climbed onto the sink and stole the speaker that was in the ceiling, probably to sell it for scrap. My store locked the bathrooms and kept the keys at the service desk. And we had to spend the next several months explaining to annoyed customers why they couldn't just go in and use the bathrooms like they always had. And we got a lecture for not checking the bathrooms every hour. We still don't, lol.